Oh,
We're live.
how do I get to...
Go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
For anyone who has looked at this on YouTube, I'm sorry, this is a test.
There's one of the YouTube name. You expecting out of that?
Look at your bell.
Oh.
I invited you, so you should see it.
Never mind.
Here, hold on. No, 0 viewers, good. I don't want anybody viewing this. Links. Go to my email address. Go to my Gmail or go to your Gmail and look for my name. Because you have my Gmail address, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Oh, Jesus. I don't know anything on it.
Apparently you don't use Gmail all that often.
Not at all.
I may be your contact. You're probably not even Google. Go down here. Find someone. Now you know there's Steven.butler@gmail.com.
Steven Butler isn't on Hangout right now.
Because, yeah. That's weird. So now from that, you should be able to click on me. Go to my there we go. Yeah, click on it again. Yeah, click on it again. Now you got there's lots going on there. Now, now scroll down, you can see the video right there.
This one?
Yep.
Oh. One person watched.
Oh, geez, already. Awesome. Oh, the YouTube thing's a little slow. Can you hear me all right? There's also...
Yeah. No, 35.
There is a ton of lag on this.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to open up Hangouts. So can you open up Hangouts? Oh, geez, already. Go back. No, go back to the page and close that. Audio sounds okay.
Yeah.
Click on the yellow, next to the yellow bubble. Click on that. Now, huh. Oh well. Here, I'm gonna put this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad lag. But yeah, the audio is fine.
Go back to my plus page. I shared the link to it. Right there.
This one? Yeah. That's when I see it from October.
Really?
Still good. No, that's not
Yeah.
it. Is this one?
Okay. Please stop. Huh.
Why are people disabling Linux?
SE Linux.
No, it's SE Linux. Just a distro? Or?
Come on. You took this class.
Yeah. Like 30 years ago, dude.
Ah, jeez. No, SE Linux is security enhanced Linux. It's a module that allows you to have more security.
Okay.
And on Red Hat systems, it's enabled by default. So it's also kind of annoying for people who don't know what they're doing because it gets in the way of actually doing stuff. But instead of like making it work right, they just disable it, and it makes their system so much more insecure because of that. Mm.
Hey, you don't have to have an extra copy of Mint anymore, do you?
Why would I have that?
An event notification now. I'm going to get all the old Linux classes on you too.
What's that?
You have all the old Linux classes on you.
I know. Oh, good. I need to install. Oh, you know what I don't have too? Shoot, I don't even have the ISO of.
Right?
You responded yes. Thanks.
Yeah, I did watch that.
Oh, got it.
So I don't know if you got my text the other day, but Alex seemed interested in.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have any details yet, but I think it might just be something where just a few people get together,
Yeah.
do some hacking, some cracking. That's my thought. I don't know where though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I just fluently holding on do it that way.
Yeah. Is the living room still open?
Not my living.
Oh, thought you were talking about the coffee shop.
Oh, but that would be awesome.
Now.
Yeah, I'm not
Is anything in that
surprised.
building though? Yeah, apparently the living room closed down because the owner thought she'd just be making these massive profits in the first
Off
6
of a-
months.
Off of a coffee shop? Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
And when she didn't make the profit she was expecting, she didn't want to keep it. Which sucks because it's a beautiful place.
What am I thinking of? Don't hire, back it updates.
And I still have all my stuff from my old men's on it.
What you refund? Sweet.
Comes that.
Great. Well, at least it's small.
Yeah, pretty small. What are you installing?
Everything I needed to virtualize through KVM.
Wow. You left my back on? This copy of Windows is not genuine.
Yeah, nice.
Every time I boot it up, I get a message that says, you may be a victim of software vandalism.
You might be.
I could be, considering I got it from Eddie.
Check this out. So with this $8 dongle, oh no. Yeah, there we go. High as she goes. So let's see. $94. And let's start DSP. Wow, reception sucks in here. You can kind of hear music in the background.
A little bit, yeah.
This is a software-defined radio. And what's really cool is you can listen to all sorts of stuff. Like, I doubt we'll be able to get it. Of course, I'll put
Try to go to a stronger thing than like 149. I didn't do much either.
You can tell it's actually a signal, but there's too much background noise, which isn't really all that surprising considering where we're at.
Yeah, in a basement.
And I've got this little tickly down here.
How much did you buy that for? $5, you said?
8.
8. It's not bad though. What the hell is a 404?
Noah.
Noah? What's
Yeah,
that?
Noah weather.
Oh.
They also have one at like one. The that might be the wrong modulation here. Hold on. Let's go to wide FM. Oh, there we go.
Got your girl in the country Tuesday, club going up on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
Got your girl in the country Tuesday, club
We can go stereo there.
on the Tuesday. Got your girl in the country Tuesday, club going up on the
Who's on the phone now?
That's a good question.
Apparently 94.9 just does not exist.
Stuff some crosses and some paint gold posters.
91.
91.3?
Let's see if little bit of a signal there. A tiny signal that's barely perceptible right there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And $8.
Nice.
Yeah.
Get one of those. I just steal all my music anyways.
Well, it's not just for music.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you get CD on that? 'Cause that would be awesome.
it's just like the lower threshold is just above where CD
Oh.
runs at. I think Amazon knows me way too well.
Knives and flags.
Look for SDR. Looks like they've gone up in price a little bit, but they're still not terribly expensive. Here's 115. Basically, mine was cheap. But yeah, that gives you. You can also listen to like police scanner. You can actually set this up to listen to police because there are not many radios that actually do channelized listening, but Linux has so many tools and utilities that there's actually a channelizing system, so you can demodulate all the police
Is that
channels.
illegal?
No.
I thought it was illegal to listen to police channels.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
It's illegal to have one, I know.
No,
No? I thought it was.
no.
Huh.
The only time it's illegal is to broadcast. You can listen to every
Okay,
frequency on
yeah.
Earth. It's just, and the thing is, might be illegal if they encrypt it, but I don't know if they do here.
I would doubt a Sheridan police one.
Well, it's actually part of WyoLink,
Oh.
and WyoLink is all kind of a statewide system.
Actually, that's my mother-in-law. She works for the police department.
Probably wouldn't know. It's
Well, she looks at the dispatch. I mean, she might.
doubt it.
Yeah.
How much do you know about how your cell phone works?
Quite a bit, actually. Like more than most people, I would say, honestly.
Right, but in terms of like the actual radio frequencies used, like what frequencies did it operate on?
Should I know?
Exactly. Exactly. So, just not necessarily useful
Yeah.
for people using it. Like people using Wyoming don't know. All they know is what channel to type into their radio to listen in. And those police radios, you can buy them. They're expensive though, because
Oh, no doubt it.
every channelized provider is proprietary. So if you go with a Motorola, you have to buy a Motorola. And it sucks.
I think my mobile is working.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You can swap with another chair. There's plenty.
So what are they doing up in the old computer lab?
Nothing. It's no longer a computer lab.
Really?
It's just offices.
No, that's fine. I don't like that.
Actually, I think IT is going there because that's...
Okay. I always hated the old building where IT was in. I was in like this side hallway of.
Yeah, and they're actually, I think, moving temporarily over here, and then they're going to move back over there until like when renovations are done.
Okay.
Anyway. That's how you do right there. How'd you do in your programming class?
Did pretty well. Got a B, I think. So, but one for you. I mean, I probably would have gotten a C. So thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. Just simple things. Simple.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's really the thing. Like computers, that's one thing I love about computers is they don't judge you. They don't tell you you're wrong. Like they might tell you you're wrong, but they're not going to tell you you're bad.
Yeah.
They just tell you that you're wrong. And, that you can try as many times as you want to get it right. And they don't care. There's not like some magical, like, the whole like 3 times and you're done. That's not a computer that's doing that. That's some human who thinks it's a good idea doing that.
Yeah, the job I'm hoping to get at how to live with it, they told me they have a 3 limit threshold. I'm
Right.
sitting there going, you're going to do anything, at least make it a bigger number, make it like 5 or 6. I have a family friend who works there, and she says she'll go into a computer and she'll type in her password for like her Hotmail or something, and so it won't accept that, and then she'll do it accidentally with caps lock, so it won't do that. And then by then, if she misspells anything, she gets kicked out, and she doesn't like it.
Well, and how I make passwords, right?
I kind of remember it.
You go here and you got a phrase.
Yep.
Like, that is a great password right there. Psychic humdrum. Homogeneous pesticide. I love that. It's relatively easy to spell. Please don't download Mint. I've got enough bandwidth downloading
Okay.
Fedora.
I'll probably done with that and try and download it.
All right. Piximile.
I can put I can make my external drive usable if I have files on the can't I? Like that.
It's not a good idea.
So I'll just move them all on tonight. Find out.
And I recommend don't use Mint. Use a good.
What's on the Mint?
Nothing.
This is what I'm used to. I mean,
Well,
suppose I could put what's it called?
if you say Ubuntu, I will literally come over there.
Say what? A bunch of?
Yeah.
No. good? I do. The one that replaced Backtrack. What was it called?
Cali?
Cali.
That's a bad idea too.
You don't like Cali?
No. I like the idea of Cali, but they're basically like, I would be a lot more okay with Cali if they were going to say, okay, we're just not going to care about all of the OS parts of the OS, and we're just going to be a repository for Ubuntu. I would be totally okay with that. Like, I don't like Ubuntu, and I still wouldn't use it. But I think that is a lot more beneficial to the ecosystem. It drives people to actually use a good operating system that has regular security updates, that is regularly patched, regularly maintained, has good support. If you move and say, oh, we're going to do our own distribution, it's going to be based off Ubuntu, then you run into several problems. One, it's not really Ubuntu. It is, but it isn't. And then you're going to get people who are completely Ubuntuoids that have no idea how to do anything. They're going to go, oh, it's not Ubuntu, it's not the same, even though it totally is. So ultimately, like, just they need to create a repository that anyone with Ubuntu can get on, and I'd be totally cool with it. I mean, I think that's awesome that Spotify does that. I don't like that Spotify only has Debian packages, but it's cool that they provide like a repository for their package, and it's easy to use for people who use that operating system.
Yeah.
Which is not me. That's gonna die. You haven't had a micro USB? Yeah, like you're plugging in your hard drive right now.
Well, you have two phones. So.
No. That's mini. I need micro.
Oh, okay.
Why do I have two phones? Well, you only see that I have two phones. One is my personal. One is my work phone. And there's a lot of benefit to having a separation between work and personal.
Yeah. Oh, God, this is taking a long time.
I've got hopefully 15 minutes left and 20 minutes till I'm technically starting my broadcast.
Oh, you know, so you call 7?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 6.
No.
Shit.
Otherwise, I'd be a little bit less. Ten minutes, maybe. Is this displaying everything?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, last semester I learned all that C++, and this semester I have to do a bunch of C#.
Nice.
How different is C# and C++?
A little bit.
But not too badly.
They're similar.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they're the same by any means.
I want to learn just plain C.
No, you don't.
I don't. Is it awful?
No, it's not object oriented. It's a good language. I'm not dissing C, but the necessity in today's workplace and in the world, C has a niche. And yeah, you need to kind of know about it, but unless you fit into that niche, you don't need to know it. And the thing is, the syntax for C, C++, C#, Java, I can probably think of a half a dozen more. They're all similar syntax. Curly brace with semicolons at the end of every line. Yeah, there are different ways in the way you handle variables and the way you handle scopes and the way you handle private versus, public variables and the way you handle classes. Like the way Java handles classes is very similar to the way C# handles classes, but they're both different the way C++ handles classes. And, the necessity for header files versus not, like Java and C# don't require header files, whereas C++ and C do require header files. It's really, I think, learning programming, you need to learn probably a C-like language and get proficient at it. Like, fairly proficient. Like, if you're running desktop applications that can do relatively complicated things, then you're doing pretty good. Like, I wrote a image editing program when I was in high school, and it was terrible. The way it did things was awful. It didn't really work right. In fact, the only way it even worked at all was actually because there was a bug in Java.
Nice.
And I was just abusing a bug. And that abuse of a bug made it so I could make an image editing program. Now, was it functional in the sense of like Paint? No. But it was relatively sophisticated in that, there was a lot of moving components. And I think if you can start doing stuff like that, or even, like pick up a good object-oriented language like Python or Ruby or...
I'm glad you taught us Python way back when you were dead.
Yeah, Python...
That helped me a lot. Like, I love, because Linux Mint Cinnamon doesn't have a plugin for the desktop changer that sort of changes the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actually ended up just writing my own.
Right.
It was
super simple, right?
That's probably 15 lines of code.
Right.
It takes about 3 hours for it to compile, but
it shouldn't have to compile at all in Python.
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find it here.
You probably have a leaky loop. And the reason I love Python, and Ruby is in the same category, is they're small languages that allow you to focus on the program, not from a programmatic standpoint, but from a what am I trying to solve standpoint. They don't get in your way. And the great thing about the Java runtime environment, they actually have things like Jython that runs Python in the Java VM. So you create a jar, and then inside that jar is basically just a Python code. You compile the Java code. Same thing with Ruby. JRuby? I think it's JRuby. Yeah, Ruby that runs on top of Java.
Is Ruby worth it to learn?
Yeah, Ruby's a great language.
Plus, I need to get through my Java class. I feel like that's going to be a little bit difficult doing Java and C# at the same time.
You'll get confused between the two.
Yeah.
The thing I don't like about Ruby, and it's more just a semantic thing, is that the way they just define things is just not my, I don't know, not my cup of tea. But it's a very, very nice language because, you know, look, got 15 minutes, give Ruby a shot right now. We can do help. And then it actually goes through, and, you know, I can, just like in Python, I can put in a math expression here, like 2 + 6 is 8. You know, I can do Python online. I think one of these. No, this isn't it. Well, here's one. You know, you can do turtle in Python, but that's very similar to the Python shell. Or if I just go over here and do Python, I can do 2 + 6. I get 8.
No, what distro are you running that?
Fedora.
Okay, so you can just do that in Fedora? Awesome.
Any Linux distribution. Python is pretty much enabled by default on every Linux distribution there is that I know of. You know. Unless you're dealing with a really stripped down, and even then, you know, there's other niche languages, like there's Go, which is Google's proprietary language. Then there's what was it? Angry Birds was written in it. I know. Lua, yeah. Means moon in Portuguese. And Lua is another really cool language. Very small, very light. It's a scripting language, but you know, people get a little bit too upset about scripting languages. It's a multi-paradigm designed as a scripting language with extensible semantics and a primary goal. It's cross-platform because it's written in ANSI C. They usually will have a example code. Yeah. So, I mean, nothing really terribly complicated for hello world. You know, here's how you define a function. You have function factorial in, and it's defined by white space, a lot like Python. To me, like, I think of Lua as kind of being like a marriage between BASIC and Python. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Hooray! Got my ISO. I wish I could, like, oh well.
You think this isn't copying to my computer because I have all this Linux stuff on it and it just doesn't like it?
No.
No? Oh, it doesn't want to copy it. What the hell are you doing?
I'm probably going to go ahead and get started. I know I've probably been broadcasting here for a while. Turning my camera back on. Enhanced. So I know I've been broadcasting for like an hour, almost. Welcome to Linux. I'm Steve. I work as an IT administrator. I don't know what my exact title is. I work for Emit Technologies. I've been there for about 6 years. I've done everything from programming to base, like get clients set up on the network, to setting up servers, installing servers. I'm kind of more lately in the programming and the not high-end server, but server side of things, where I make sure services are running, they're working, that sort of thing. I use Linux in a professional capacity, but also in a personal capacity. I'm actually running Linux on my laptop here. Any computer that I'm going to be using for class will be running Linux. I haven't run Windows on a home computer of mine, personal computer of mine, since 2004, somewhere in that time range. Right as I was graduating high school, I switched completely to using Linux. So that's about 10 years, 11 years now that I've been using Linux. I've actually been using it before then. I first got into it when I was in about middle school. So kind of the late 90s, like 98, 99, I actually went to Walmart and bought a copy of Linux. And back then, that, there wasn't really the internet as we know it today. You couldn't just go and download something as easily. So I went and bought Linux in probably 98, 99. I don't remember exactly. It was $20, which was a lot for back then. And that's where I started. I've been using it since. And, like I said, I do it in a professional capacity and a personal capacity. So I really like Linux. I really like computers in general. I like digging in, getting things done technically that most people don't do. So I'm actually going to start sharing my screen. Entire screen. And present to everyone. All right. So in here, I've actually just got done downloading Fedora. And actually just got done installing Virtual Machine Manager on the machine. We'll see if it works. I may have to reboot and come back to this. Hopefully not. I didn't have anything set up any preparation. Oh, this is a Linux class. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
I'm Steve.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Christian.
You can sit anywhere. There's power strips if we need them.
I do have
You just have that. Okay, perfect. Actually, I have any one of these systems. The small systems that are connected just to a single monitor, they are set up to where we can probably install on them. I'll put, since I have this, and I'm screen sharing right now, I'm actually gonna, instead of installing it in the VM first, I'm going to install it to my USB drive first. And I'm gonna have to install Live USB Creator. And I'm gonna hope this works. Awesome. While this is installing, I'm gonna explain a little bit about what's going on. This is actually a really important part of most Linux systems, is a package management system. It allows me to install packages just by typing in a command. And it contrasts with Windows in that with Windows, they're actually moving this direction, but most Linux distributions have had this for years. And there's a vast amount of software I can install I can search for it and install it just by typing in a couple commands. So now I'm going to run this. And this allows me to go and select, jeez, okay, hold on. CPU This did finish, right? I'm going to assume that it did and just rock it and hope that it's good. Not desktop downloads. No, Fedora. Nope. There we go. -5. I have the alpha on here. Done some testing. I'm gonna do groups. I don't know why that's taking so long. Oh crap. Oh well. I've already committed to it. The reason it's taking so long is that my home is actually mounted on a different partition, and we'll get into that actually here in a few minutes.
You're going to show us the shadow files again?
No, I'm not showing it. I need to go change all my passwords. That reminds me.
That's still floating around on YouTube somewhere, isn't
It is. Fortunately, the views on that video is not high. The shadow file is the encrypted passwords of your system. So they're actually relatively easy to unencrypt if you get them, which is why they're the most protected file on the system. Yeah, it was a previous video I made for class, and I'm not saying which one. Right? It's a video somewhere on it's you know, somewhere.
Wasn't it when we were doing John the Little attacks though?
I can neither confirm nor deny this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a non-destructive create live USB off that ISO I just got done downloading. And for those of you who are home who want to have a system where you don't want to have to permanently destroy or permanently install it on something, this is a great way. If you have a flash drive, you can just install it to your flash drive and then use it just by booting to that flash drive every time. It makes it a nice way to try out a Linux distribution without any risk of destroying anything. But you can also install and do a destructive installation on a system using the live image as well. And I'm actually not running the latest on my desktop here. I'm actually running 20, I think. Yes, Fedora 20 Heisenbug, which for those of you who are not in the know, a Heisenbug is just like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. It's a bug in code that you can either know what the bug is or where it is, but not both. This is actually going pretty fast. What's that? Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have some time if there are a lot of people who come after my recording, that I'll shut off the recording and then have some kind of more just, you know, one-on-one time with whoever's here.
Don't be too scared by all this stuff he's doing in the command line. It'll go slowly. Don't worry about it.
I also type really, really fast, so if I do type too fast, let me know.
Well, I know you said you would fast, but then I started watching it.
Yeah, I definitely move pretty fast when it comes to a lot of this stuff. After a while, it becomes just, you know, second nature. You just get used to it, which is, for me, it's just, the computer is an extension of me. It's, you know, without a keyboard, I don't know that I could survive very well. On that note as well, I also think mice make people stupid. So wherever there's a way to do something with a mouse, there's a way to do it better with a keyboard.
Not necessarily faster, though.
Almost exclusively, you can do it faster with a keyboard than you can a mouse. But the problem is, with using a keyboard, you have to know what you're doing before you do it. Whereas with a mouse, you can fumble around and, you know, figure things out interactively. And in this case, right, like I could have done this through the command line, but I've never done it. It would be a great like learning experience, but we would also be here till probably like 8:30, and I'd still be like, "It's 20% done," and we're at 99% right now, and it's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and I don't really need to do that, do I? Nah, well, yeah, I probably should. Files, what is that? Let's go live and just do a eject. All right, if you want to boot one of those computers, you have this, and you can follow along with me. Where's my virtual machine manager? There we are. That's actually look up to this IHP down there. This one will probably be a little bit better. Yeah, this one's, they're not the best computers. That is another thing too. If you have old hardware, Linux is great because you can. I have a 7, 8 year old laptop. It's ancient and slow, but it still works fine because I don't accumulate a lot of crap on it, and it runs still as good as it did back then. Now everything's much faster than it, so it seems slower, but it's actually not any slower than when I first started with it. So I'm going to set up this virtual machine. For those of you who are running Windows or want to run in a VM, I do recommend VMware Player or Workstation if you can afford it. If you have a DreamSpark account, I would totally go with a VMware Workstation. Or if you're running Windows 8, you can actually install Hyper-V locally, and it works pretty well too. So recommend that. Oh, looks like we have someone join too. Gabe. Awesome. No, just actually power it off. Like hold the power button down.
Set up to boot from straight from USB.
I am not. There's the USB. Go ahead and plug it in. And when you turn it on, hit, I think on Dell's it's F12 to choose.
It might be F9.
I think it's F12 on Dell's. So turn it on, and then there'll be a little screen that pops up, and it says hit F12 or something to select what boot device. Yes, F12. So hit that. And then it'll ask you where you want to boot from, and you want to choose USB. And also, for those of you who are online, booting from USB is actually, you can hit F1 on that. It's just a worry message. Booting from USB takes a special magical key combination, and I think in most cases it's on Dell's it's F12. On your system it might be F7 or F9. It's delete one of the sometimes. Function keys. Sometimes delete. But that's if you're running off USB. So I'm going to create my virtual machine here. Local install media. I have an ISO image, and it's not anywhere. Browse local. Hopefully this allows me to. I might have to. Dang it. So all of that moving I did, I'm going to have to move back. Moving my ISO back. Take a couple seconds. Sorry, I muted you there. If you need to ask a question, I think you can unmute yourself. All right. Back to my virtual machine manager. This should be done. It is done. That's cool. So I'm going to browse to my that ISO right there. I'm going to open it up. OS type is Linux. Fedora 20 or later. Yep. I do not have that much RAM, so I'm going to give it 1 gig. 1,024 megabytes. Hopefully, well, I only give it 1 CPU. In the past, I've done this, and it just slows down, so I hope it'll work fairly well. I'm actually going to call this Fedora 21. That's what I'm installing. And finish. And this is what you get if you boot from USB, just the same as if you do virtual. And it'll boot here. Let me see if I can do a scale view. Let's do always. There we go. So then this brings us to login. Come on, view. Come on. You can do it. Put on after. Well, this would just be my life. Okay, good. So this is what you get. I'm going to scale this down just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. If you're running off of a live USB stick and you don't want to make any changes, you don't want to like ruin your system, you want to go on the Try Fedora side. Now for this, I want this virtual machine to have it permanently. And here, if you want to do it permanently to that system, you can hit install as well. And so this is going to walk us through the installer. If you're just going to do it off of live USB, you're done. Once you get it to the USB drive, they also have the live USB creator for Windows. Actually, I should show that because that's really useful. Live USB creator. There's a bunch of different utilities to use this. I actually really like this one. You can get it from right here, fedorahosted.org/liveusb-creator. You can run it on Windows, and it works great. And it looks just like what I was using here on Linux, just more Windows-like. On Mac, they don't have Live USB Creator, but they do have. I've not created one on Mac except for like 5 years ago, so I don't remember. There are tools. If you just like Google Live USB Mac, right there, how to create a live USB, bootable USB stick on OS 10. It's actually, I think, pretty easy. So, anyway, so we're in the installer. I speak English in the United States. For all of your sake, we're doing it in English. Then it brings us to localization and system stuff. So network and host name, generally this is going to be connected if you have a wired connection. If you have a wireless connection, it may not be. Don't worry too much about that if you're on a physical system. You can always, once you get it up and running, get wireless set up. So right now I'm going to select my boot device. It was actually selected default for me. And this is only 8 gigs, so this I can actually imagine filling up pretty quick. But I want you guys to also know that you cannot install Windows past like Vista on an 8 gig drive. It's too big. So I'm hoping to prove that I can beat Windows in that way. I like beating Windows whenever I can. So, oh, I didn't mention where you can get Fedora. I think I put the link in Blackboard, but for those who aren't doing that or just watching my YouTube video, it's fedoraproject.org. That actually redirects now to getfedora.org. And they have Workstation, Server, and Cloud. Generally, you want to use Workstation. Workstation has a GUI. It allows you to work with it, play with it. Server is more headless. I mean, there's no GUI. It's just command line, which is great for a server. And Cloud is really stripped down. It's designed if you are throwing up 1,000 images at once, you only want like 100 meg image of just what you want to boot. So Workstation is generally what you want. I'm going to go back here. It's got all that selected, so I'm going to hit Begin Installation. And it's going. Now, this also shows you, for user setting, you want a root password and a user creation. And one of the unique things about Fedora these days, in particular, is that Fedora kind of ascribes to an older model of Linux administration, in that there's actually a root account. If you use like Ubuntu or Mint, they don't have the root account set up by default. And that's not necessarily wrong, it's just different. And it's, for all intents and purposes, the root account is like the super administrator of your system. It has access to do everything. It's a lot of power. So a lot of people in, like the Ubuntu and Mint communities said that's a lot of power for just average ordinary users to have. We're going to just give them a regular account and then have them elevate themselves to a position, kind of like a UAC on Windows, where it asks you, are you sure you want to run this program? That's the model on like an Ubuntu or a Mint like operating system. So I'm going to put in my password here. I'm going to put in something. I'm going to make it really secure and call it password. And of course it tells me it's weak, but I say I don't care. I actually have to hit done twice, and it will let you set a weak password. I don't recommend using password for your password, by the way. I can't even spell my own name. Now, I was mentioning that a lot of the systems use like an elevation. This actually allows you to run programs as an administrator. So this checkbox, make this user administrator. I recommend for your user that you're going to use daily to make that user administrator. I'm going to give that a password. Since we're on the topic of security, I'm making it password again. I know I said don't do it, but seriously don't do it. It's not secure. Oh, the passwords don't match. PASSWORD. Come on. Oh yeah. So done and done. And look, we're at 51% already just in that. So it's actually going pretty fast. So I jumped right in and kind of full speed ahead on installing. That's the best part of having YouTube is you can go back and scroll back and pause and play. I apologize if I am going fast. Hopefully you guys can let me know if I am going too fast. One while this is going, I do want to go over like the history of Linux. Linux is not that old in the grand scheme of things. Linux is actually younger than Windows in a lot of ways. 1991, I think. I'm gonna have to Google this to get to become accurate. trustyian.wikipedia.org. We're gonna Google. We're gonna search for Linux. 1991. Hey,
Nice.
sweet. My memory isn't too bad. Linus Torvalds wrote it as a kind of senior project, and he was actually imitating Minix, which was a commercial Unix system at the time. He kind of just wrote a clone, kind of as fun, really, just as part of his project, you know, to do it. Unix is actually the kind of the inspiration for Minix, which is the inspiration for Linux. And Unix and Linux, they're not necessarily intertwined, but they also are. And this actually goes back to 1969 from the unnamed PDP-7 operating system to Unix version 1 through 4. And you can see the history. This kind of beige color is where they can actually trace back to actual Unix. And then you have Sun, which was a port of BSD. Xenix, which Microsoft actually bought in the 80s, and then spun off to SCO. AIX, which is IBM Unix, it's still around. And then Linux is over here. I forget where they put it on this diagram. Over here, on the side, totally unrelated, unrelated to the family tree, is Minix and Linux, and they were both basically written as clones of Unix. And they're now anymore, like all of the Unix families are so close together where if you know how to use Linux, you'll be comfortable sitting at like an HPUX system or an AIX system or a BSD system and being able to work. The commands are very, very similar. In a lot of cases, for example, probably the most widely deployed Unix system in the world right now is OS X. Apple OS X is actually a certified Unix product, and it traces back through NextStep, which is this branch of the tree right here. I think they show it on here. Yeah, OS X right here comes off of NextStep, which is itself a port of BSD, which was a port of Unix. So tracing back its lineage, OS X is a purer Unix than Linux is. And if you use OS X, there is Bash installed in OS X, which is the, from earlier where I was on the command line here, this is Bash. It is open source. It's been used on pretty much every commercial Unix variant now uses Bash. And a lot of what you use on Linux really isn't specific to Linux, but it's more just specific to an open source project that runs on top of Linux. So I could just as easily swap out Linux in this and put in BSD, and other than a few funky little things, there wouldn't be a lot that changes. And I know this is very, very like high level and I'm going fast, but for the most part, Linux itself is just the core. It's like the engine of the operating system, and that's what runs everything. But there are a lot of different type of engines that are a lot like Linux, or Linux is a lot like those other engines. You know, you could say like there's two types of engines in the world. There's diesel and gas, and several variations, but those are the two majors. And in this case, there's Windows is like the gas engines, and Unix is like the diesel engines. And there's about 1 billion different manufacturers of diesel engines, and Linux is just kind of one flavor in the list of flavors of different types of engines. But the user interface, the component that you actually use, like this GUI right here that I'm using, this is not Bash, sorry. It's late. Had a long day. This is GNOME, or GNOME, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know how it's pronounced. Apparently I don't have help anymore. But this is actually, you can run GNOME on Solaris, you can run it on BSD, you can run it on pretty much any Unix. I even think they've ported it to OS X, although Apple does a lot of really funky things to make their stuff incompatible. But it's open system. You can, it's completely free. There's no license cost. Yeah, this is GNOME. This is the user interface I'm using. And throughout the course, I'll actually be going over different UIs, different graphical systems. So looks like we're done. So when I hit quit here, it actually brings me back to the desktop, but it should reboot me. It might not. Well, that's a flaw. Someone's calling me. Who's calling me? Bloody hell. Oh, good. They went away. Sorry, whoever was trying to call me. Hi.
The lab.
Yep. Well, nice stuff. Sweet, sweet. Glad you're here. Take a seat. Any seat. Once you're done with the USB, you can probably pass it over. Oh, it's okay. Actually, you're almost to the point where you can start installing. Make sure the checkbox is on there. And hit, yeah. And now you just hit install. Hit OK. Erase everything. If it gives you, yes, reclaim space. And reclaim all of it. Delete Windows aggressively.
Did they put Windows back on there?
Yeah, I don't know where that hard drive came from, but it has a server on it, like 2012. And I didn't even think those computers could run 2012.
It's probably damaged when something was built just before you left.
Anyway, I'm going to restart this and boot off of just the local. I want to make sure that it's not still going to boot off of the CD by saying disconnect. Don't need the ISO anymore. Okay, fine. I'll just connect it to my local drive. Okay, don't care. And it's rebooting. That shouldn't take very long. It's booting. It's almost there. Is it booting or is it shutting off? I think it might be. I don't know what it's doing. Because they have the same animation for booting and for shutting down. I think it's doing a. I'm going to go with that was a boot. Maybe. Yep, that was a boot. So it comes into a login screen, and I can actually put in my super secure password, and it logs me in. As far as week 1 is concerned, pretty light, that's it. So I can catch you up here after I end the recording. Okay. Well, if you think you have it, go and try it. Any one of these delves is probably easier. The first login, it asks me again what language I want, which I definitely want Mandarin.
Not.
English US. And I can also connect my accounts like Google. I'm not going to do that. Then I can start using it. So the user interface is a little bit weird. You have these activities in the upper left-hand corner. When you mouse over it, it pops up this menu. These are all the windows I have open, and these are just my quick launch items. I can search for applications like calculator. If you guys have been paying attention while I've been doing this video, I've been using this, and it's takes a little bit of getting used to, honestly. But once you get used to it, it's easy to get around. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll be going over the different user interfaces there are, and you can choose whichever one you want based on how you work and how you like using a computer. If you really liked Windows XP and you thought it was the pinnacle of computing, you can make your desktop work exactly like Windows XP did. If you think that you want to live avant-garde and hack together your own thing, well, you can do that too.
Conky. It's conky.
No, don't use Conky. Linux is great because it's so flexible. You can make it do anything. And open source in general, it's free. Free not only in the sense that it's open source and anyone can download it, change it, modify it, and redo it. That's the beauty of open source, and Linux really fills that niche of being the open source for everybody. It wasn't on?
No, that was the one I unplugged to plug in.
Of course.
Just one of these on this.
So anyway, I think that's it for this week. For those of you who are in the class, email me. If nothing else, just email me. Let me know that you're participating. Even if you don't have your install done yet, I just need to know because they start hounding me in like 2 weeks to get all this stuff. Like, who's active in your class? So, I'm good. I'm actually going to end my broadcast, and I will try to edit this because had like an hour beforehand that I was here and just testing everything, and then sent out the link and didn't want to. Anyway, whatever. All right, guys. Next week we'll be doing some other stuff.